No vaccine can protect you from the Medicare for the Lazy Man podcast. The Medicare podcast that does origami. Just a hop, skip, and a jump from normalcy. It's Medicare expert Doug Jones.
Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Medicare for the Lazy Man podcast. You just heard my Canadian nephew, Drew McMillan, introduce my next episode for your listening pleasure and perhaps for your edification about Medicare. I am Doug Jones, the theoretical Medicare expert that you're able to listen to today. And we welcome you. I welcome you to the podcast. Basically, we're here to help people, not just lazy people, not just lazy men, not just lazy ladies, but anyone approaching Medicare who might have some concerns about the decisions they have to make, about the dangers that they could encounter as they approach Medicare. And hopefully by means of my book, Medicare for the Lazy Man, simplest and easiest guide ever, I have set their minds at ease. So part of our job is to encourage people to go to Amazon.com and buy one of the three types of my book. That's paperback, Kindle, ebook, or the Audible edition. And then once you get through that, and it's not going to take very long to plow through my book, let me tell you, I think you're going to have a more clear understanding of what Medicare is all about and what the decisions are that have to be made in order to prepare for your transition from Obamacare to Medicare. So we are here ready to help people feel more comfortable about that transition. And often what we do is ask my friend and engineer, Randy Carson, to play our 30-second radio spot. And if we get real quiet, he'll probably play it for us right now. Medicare is complicated. Medicare can be confusing. Medicare is no fun to study. Will you know what decisions to make when Medicare time arrives for you? My name is Doug Jones, and I wrote a book to help you figure it all out. Medicare for the Lazy Man. It's on sale at Amazon and BarnesandNoble.com. Also, you can download and listen to my podcast, Medicare for the Lazy Man, wherever fine podcasts are given away free of charge. Medicare for the Lazy Man, simplest and easiest guide ever. Thank you, Randy. That's I like that spot because it's a succinct description of how to access the information that we put out. And frankly, it's just that simple. Come listen to us, read the book. I don't know that there's any other meaningful way. Oh, go to the website. We've got a beautiful website that Randy has designed. And on the website, if you scroll down on the landing page, there are a couple of buttons. You can click on a button that offers a short questionnaire that will allow me to do a quote for you to tell you what your Medicare supplement options might cost. And then there's a button with a longer questionnaire that will allow you to securely send me your detailed information that would be needed for an application for insurance. So either of those two buttons is an excellent way to get a hold of me. And I would encourage you to do that. So I mentioned Randy earlier. He is sitting here staring at me. He's got a brand new background. Usually it's his office furniture in his spacious suite of offices. In this case, it appears to be a yacht. If it's not a yacht, then it's a seaside apartment that hangs out over the water. But in any event, it's a lot more fun to look at than his office furniture. How you doing, Randy?
I'm good. How are you, Mr. J?
Oh, I'm exhausted. Not only am I stuck with this moving generations of Jones Detrius out of the family manse, but I think I've come down with some walking pneumonia. And as a guy who assiduously avoids medical encounters at all times, I did some work yesterday and I thought, okay, I've told everybody on the podcast about telemedicine, how they can be, diagnosed and treated from home. by doctors, and that the feds are going to pay for that, and it's part of Medicare and all that. And so I set up a telemedicine call with Northwestern Memorial Hospital in Chicago, and they said, okay, 2:00 on Tuesday is your call. We're going to have somebody call you. And about a half an hour later, my cell phone started ringing, and it was some very nice lady who said, "You've given us your symptoms. We can't diagnose that over the computer, over Zoom. What's wrong with you? You got to come in and see us. So cancel that appointment." So eventually, I'm going to have to go sit in front of actual people with a stupid mask on and have somebody diagnose me. And then, all I'm really looking for is some antibiotics, because I think I've got this walking pneumonia, and antibiotics ought to knock it out. But I got to find somebody with either black market antibiotics or somebody that's going to put up with me long enough to make the diagnosis. Randy's volunteering. He's got the antibiotics in hand. Now, how do you get them into my hands?
Well, we could probably handle that. We won't talk about it on air, but I do have a nice supply of antibiotics that I keep stocked up. You're not. I hope you're not allergic to penicillin, because these are the old-fashioned, knock it flat penicillin pills.
Well, that's exactly what I'm looking for. I am not allergic to any of that stuff. In fact, I have been called by various people who live in my house a horse, because I don't have any reaction to anything.
Yeah, I don't either. So I think you and I were born back around the century of when, if you had something major wrong with you, you just died.
Yeah, absolutely. And in fact, I've made it pretty long without having anything real major go wrong with me. So I'm okay with that. If I can take a bottle of antibiotics to knock out what I think is this walking pneumonia, then I'll be a happy camper.
Well, back in the day, you remember when I was back in the hospital doing the,
oh boy, do I ever,
doing the old COVID routine.
That was about exactly 1 year ago, right?
Yeah, it was almost exactly. And so I was going to tell you, after I got out of there, I had a number of telemedicine appointments, because long story short, as you know, that my little oxygen bottle that I had to have, would get me about from here down to the mailbox, and that was it.
Right.
I mean,
and the reason you couldn't have a battery operated one was they were all being used by other.
I was down at the end of the line, so my oxygen generator, I think, was invented in 1952. And it came in on an 18-wheeler. It worked good, but it sounded like a corn picker. But what I was going to say is, I actually, the first telemedicine appointment I attended was, I think it was for my breathing, my heart function and all that stuff. And I didn't like what he was telling me, really.
So
I said, Doc, I think I need a second opinion on this. And he pulled in one of his assistants, and she looked at me real close, and she goes, "Well, you're ugly too."
She would have stolen that line from me if I had been there. But what I was going to speculate was that you were being tested to see if you knew where you were, because as you told me, you were in the fog. You had
oh my God,
flu.
That was the craziest feeling I ever had. They used to start when I first got in the wasn't intensive care, but it was the infectious disease ward, and they came in when like a hazmat suit and oxygen tanks, like I was something like a Mars mission would use. And they kept, every time they came in, they would ask me a series of questions, and they said, I can't help you with these questions, and I said, okay. But they were the simplest questions. I won't bother telling you what they were, because they were simple. But the first few days, I just could not get anything going as terms of an answer. It was the craziest thing.
Well, as you told me, they kept asking you if you knew where you were, and you said yes, and then you'd give them some off-the-wall address that was miles away or something. And then finally, after many days of them asking and you failing that test, apparently they asked you, or no, you went and got your cell phone and had to use the GPS to figure out where you were, which was in a hospital that's fairly sizable facility, not too far from your home.
Yep. So so I felt so proud of myself that I could answer that question accurately. And I cheated. I got the location from my cell phone GPS.
Yeah. Well, that was good for you. When I had the fog after my second shot, I got the Moderna vaccine. So I had number 1 in February and then number 2 in March. And, like 12 hours after that number 2, the fog that you're describing kicked in. And I didn't know it at the time, but I spent a whole evening with my computer on my lap trying to send an email to a prospective Medicare supplement customer and trying to attach the file that just showed what the product would cost. I couldn't figure out how to send an email with an attached file to save my soul. So I knew exactly after that, after I realized what had gone on, I knew exactly what you had been through. Pretty weird, isn't it?
It's a very strange feeling. And as you might imagine, I'm not in all my life, but in some parts of my life, I'm somewhat of a control freak. And that feeling of being out of control and out of touch and can't get A connected to B was not a good feeling for me.
Well, it reminds me of my grandmother back in 1981. She was large and in charge, actually late 70s, I'm guessing. And she was widowed. And my parents had to keep an eye on her. And so they had her up in Illinois for the summer. And, whoever was hanging around would talk to her and watch her. And she would go out and walk her dog. And then she would come in and she had American Airlines reservation number memorized. And she would call and make reservations to fly to Phoenix. Because I'm going home, damn it. I'm not hanging around here all summer. And so then that happened many times a day, and people would, get the phone and push the button down and disconnect the call, but not always, apparently. And so after this went on for a long time, there was an American Airlines ticket office in the Loop, and my father came out one day and he walked in there to pick up some tickets. He was going to go somewhere. And when they found his phone number or his address or something, they almost had him arrested. It was like the poop hit the fan. They, locked the doors, called the cops, because apparently many empty airline seats had traveled between Chicago and Phoenix, frankly, because of my grandmother. And so they worked out a deal. And this is back in the days when steam-driven computers were kind of primitive. And so they worked out a deal where any reservation that was made with that information that my grandmother would leave to American Airlines would be automatically kicked out by the computer at the end of the day. And so that satisfied everybody. And then the upshot there was that they let her yak on the phone all she wanted to. She called American Airlines many times a day, and nobody had to worry about stopping that call. So,
that's an interesting story. Well, bless her heart. That was so back in the day, she was all about flying.
Oh, she was all about not flying.
She didn't want to fly. She didn't want to fly.
It was okay for her. Here's the deal. When I was a kid, I traveled all over the country with them, first class railroads, passenger railroads in the 1950s. And they always said, no, we're never going to fly because it's too dangerous. This is my grandfather and my grandmother. So basically, we'd go to Arizona. It would take 48 hours on the Santa Fe Super Chief, but you lived in the lap of luxury. And I think I've told you, I sat on Cecil B. DeMille's lap and I had dinner with other, television stars that rode the train. But my grandmother said, well, I don't trust flying. It's just not safe and we don't want to take that chance. On the other hand, they didn't mind putting me on an airplane to fly back from just fine.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it was pretty weird. Something just changed on my setup here. Do I sound different to you? My default microphone has changed, and I don't know why.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I can still hear you okay, but.
Yeah, but every time you tell me you're going to take something out, you forget, and it turns out to be in the final product, which I always think is entertaining. So I haven't been a stickler about cleaning up in post-production, but I'm just okay. Now it's back. It should be back. Do I sound like I'm talking to you through the switcher? I hope.
You do, yeah.
I can't see you.
You can't see me.
Yeah, boy, it's pretty wacky. The screen is completely blank. It's showing like documents. Oh, there you are. Okay, you're back now.
I'm still on my yacht right here.
I know, it's a fantastic place to be. In fact, I don't know why you're letting me bother you. So let's do some Medicare.
Yeah, absolutely. We should get some Medicare stuff done because the people are waiting. I'm seeing people raise their hand in the audience. They're going, "Come on, we really came for the Medicare."
That's more polite than they usually are. Anyway, make a note to yourself to try to take out some of that foolishness.
I will. I'll definitely. I'm getting better with listening to the whole thing. I used to just listen to parts of it, but now I'm getting better about listening to the whole thing. So I'll definitely catch that part.
Excellent. Okay, so because of the move, I'm in house cleaning mode. And so I've got a whole bunch of odds and ends that are cluttering up my desk, and I need to read them and throw them away. So here's one new law in Illinois for Medicare supplement clients or participants or customers or whatever. Illinois law has changed, and now there's going to be a new notification that goes out with every one of my customers that buys a Medicare supplement in Illinois. And it says Medicare supplement policyholders age 65 through 75. Now, why they would stop at age 75, I'll never know. They have an annual Medicare supplement 45-day open enrollment period that begins on their birthday each year. This open enrollment period in Illinois allows you to apply without evidence of insurability. That's always the big bugaboo, having to answer a health questionnaire for people that want to change their Medicare supplement policy to something else. So the open enrollment in Illinois allows you to apply without evidence of insurability for a Medicare supplement policy from your current insurer, providing the same or lesser benefits than your current policy. Now, the only reason I can think of for this is that some companies, like notably Humana, have a bunch of policies in force, but those people are getting older and sicker and their claims are getting higher. And so they'll start a new subsidiary with no policies in force, and they'll sell those policies at a rock bottom price to younger, healthier people coming into Medicare. And meanwhile, in the other subsidiary that is ongoing, those people are getting older and sicker and having higher claims, and the rates are going up in order to pay for those claims. But in the new subsidiary, the people are all younger, healthier, and the rates are cheaper. So what the state of Illinois is doing is saying, if you would like to get the same coverage from your current insurer, but they've got a different subsidiary company, you may go to that company and get coverage within 45 days of your birthday without showing evidence of good health. And so I think that's interesting. It's not as broad-based a right as many other states force insurance companies to adhere to, but it's an improvement. It's a step in the right direction, and they will eventually, I'm sure, succumb to pressure to broaden or liberalize this thing. So it has to be from your current insurer, it has to be within 45 days of your birthday, and you have to want to buy a policy with the same or lesser benefits. Now, here's what I would also recommend, that a relatively healthy person, maybe you have some medical history and you're fully recovered. If you want to save money, consider changing from a Plan F, which you might have been on for years and might be costing you an arm and a leg, to a high deductible, either Plan F or Plan G. So that would be one way to change your relationship with the insurance company in a way that will benefit you, because a high deductible plan it allows you to share a little bit of the risk with the insurance company, a limited amount of risk with the insurance company, but yet it will save you a ton of premium cost. Now, for Missouri residents, this is a new 2022 benefit. As of January 1st, insurers nationwide have increased tremendously their rates. Based on this, there is now a plan available in your state to save you hundreds of, I know what it is. This is Ken. Ken and Schelly are two of my favorite clients, and they moved from the San Diego area to Missouri last year, I believe it was. And so Ken sent me this, and it looks just like the Illinois announcement. It looks very, very official. And he said, I'm getting better at picking out the crapola that the Medicare supplement gnomes are trying to lure me with. And so he said, they didn't get me this time, but It says here, it's this very official looking announcement. The following information is extremely important. As of January 1st, insurers nationwide have increased their rates tremendously. Based on this, there is now a plan available in your state to save you hundreds of dollars each year. Recent reports have indicated that Medicare enrollees are to receive new benefits from the sweeping legislation passed by Congress. Changes in Medicare spending will protect the health and economic security of older Americans and their families, according to these reports. Do I sound like Joe Namath? Do I sound like Jimmy J.J. Walker? Uh-oh. How is it that the crickets even get an opinion here?
Well, I'll stop the crickets, but the reason I got in on this was you said, do I sound like Joe Namath?
Yeah.
And I was going to ask you if they were giving away free lunches and toothpaste.
Well, and rides to the doctor.
Yeah.
I believe that what we've got there is a new creative way for them to break the law, because they're not supposed to be mailing stuff to the best of my knowledge. I think that's against one of the rules that the Medicare, the CMS, the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, the government agency that can't quite figure out how to spell its own acronym accurately. And so those guys have promulgated rules against mailing stuff out to Medicare recipients. And this outfit that mailed that out to my friend my friend Ken in Missouri, that company is breaking the rules, but they figured out a way to do it where I guess they're not going to get their hands slapped. Okay, one more thing, because we've been yakking and jaw-jacking for the whole episode. So get a replacement Medicare card on My Social Security. My Social Security would be an account that you set up when you enroll in Medicare. Another name for that would be mymedicare.com. I think both accounts lead to the same thing. The Social Security Administration is the government agency that oversees Medicare. So when you talk to the people and you want to enroll in Medicare, you're really talking to the Social Security people. So it's socialsecurity.com is one way to get to the website where you need to sign up for Medicare Part A and or Medicare Part B. So I talked to a Nancy, who is a client of mine, a relatively new client, and she said, they tell me it's going to be 2 months before I get my Medicare ID card. And I just enrolled in Medicare. What the heck takes them 2 months? So this was an article that was last updated August 19th, 2021. And I thought to myself, maybe this is a way that Nancy can get a Medicare card more quickly. And it says, we have more great Social Security news to share. If you lost, damaged, or need to replace your Medicare card, you can now get a replacement Medicare card using your personal My Social Security account. This is the newest feature they've added to My Social Security as they continue to improve its functionality and convenience for you. They're tooting their own horn here. Your Medicare card is the most important piece of identification you have as a Medicare beneficiary. You're not a Medicare beneficiary, you're a Medicare participant as far as I'm concerned. This card is proof that you have Medicare health insurance. Medical professionals and insurance companies need this proof to provide you with accurate care and compensation. If your card is lost or damaged and you are currently entitled to Medicare, you can easily order a replacement using your personal My Social Security account. Simply access your personal My Social Security account and select the Replacement Documents tab. Then select Mail My Replacement Medicare Card. And here's the punchline, ladies and gentlemen. After you request a card, it will arrive in the mail in about 30 days. Now, what the heck is wrong with the federal government? They can't print a little piece of cardboard and somehow put it in their own mail service and get it to you in 30 days? Or, why is it taking 30 days when it should take maybe 5 days? I'll give them 5. I'll give them 7 days. This is insane. And it explains to me why Nancy is frustrated. She can't get her Medicare card after having enrolled in Medicare for 2 months, they tell her. This is incredible. They've said, okay, you're approved for Medicare starting on such and such a date. We can't figure out how to mail a card to you for 2 months. Boy, it kind of reminds me, we live in Arizona as often as I'm allowed to. And we have mail from Illinois forwarded. So if somebody mails me something in Illinois, it's collected at the post office in St. Charles, Illinois. And once a week, they put it in a box and they ship it all down to Arizona. And when it doesn't arrive, we have to call. And the last couple of times we called, what was the reason that it didn't arrive on time? Because their system did not print a sticker. If the system can't print a sticker, then the employees are incapable of taking a sticky piece of paper and writing our name and address on it and putting it on that box. They have to wait for the machine or the system or whatever they use to print a sticker. Otherwise, they cannot mail my mail. They cannot forward my mail. And I pay about $20 a week for that service. So the last time I called a woman, well, Mary called one day and was thoroughly frustrated. So then I called the second day, got the same woman by mistake. And I told her that my wife was so frustrated with her prior phone call that she was going to go out and throw herself in front of a railroad train. And the woman said, "Oh my God, did your wife pass away this morning?" And I said, "Well, I don't know because I haven't seen the train schedule yet. So she may or may not have gone, but it depends on when the train comes along. But her intention is to meet her maker." So anyway, it was just a frustrating experience, and it continues to be. So this thing says more than 18 million people use My Social Security because it's the easiest way to access their own personal Social Security information they need to plan for retirement. Your account is a hub for doing business with us, including keeping track of your earnings and verifying them every year, getting an estimate of your future benefits if you're still working, getting a letter with proof of your benefits if you currently receive them, managing your benefits, including changing your address, starting or changing your direct deposit, getting a replacement SSA 1099 or SSA 1042S for tax season. We continue to add new services to My Social Security to meet your needs. We collect customer feedback so we can add features that will make your business with Social Security faster and easier. Adding the Medicare card replacement service, which takes 1 month, is the latest in our efforts to make your experience with us as positive as possible. Opening a personal My Social Security account takes only a few minutes, and it's safe and easy. Safe, that's very important that it's safe. After your account is open, you can request a replacement Medicare card immediately. There's no need to call or visit a Social Security office. You can request it all you want to, but you're going to pass another birthday before that card that you request actually arrives. So anyway, I heard the crickets. My stopwatch tells me I'm way over time on this.
Well, I'm going to give us a few more minutes because I've got a story.
Oh, tell me the story.
So way back in the day when I was, like 16, back when they were still scratching out Social Security cards on, pieces of rock.
And papyrus.
Yes. I got a job, so I had to get a Social Security card. So I went to the post office. I got my Social Security application for a number, filled it all out, and I sent it in. And I was just so excited to get my Social Security card, thinking this is going to be a really cool thing.
Yeah.
And it came, and it looked like something that I had put. It was paper, and it wasn't even heavy paper. It looked like something I had pulled out of the back of a Cracker Jack box.
My draft card was more durable than my original Medicare card.
Yeah. Oh, I get you. So I'm sitting there going, okay, well, I guess this is it. I've got it. And I can use, this will be a good piece of ID. No. If you remember
the law said,
you can't use this for identification. There was actually a note on the Social Security card. So then I'm going, well, what is this thing good for?
Yeah. Well, actually, theoretically, it keeps you legal if you actually have a job. But I remember the day my father came home. He had 5 kids, and he came home one day, and he had been to the Social Security office, and I think to get one for my mother, who never worked a day in her life. But I think he decided it was a good idea for her. So he got one for each of the kids. And basically, he just walked in the house and said, I got everybody's Social Security cards, dealt them out like a deck of cards.
So from that point forward, you were known as Clay, right?
Now, that was funny, but I'm not sure why. You better explain it to the audience.
Oh, I'm telling you. So he's dealing. Obviously, he just dealt in my mind works in strange ways.
Well, we all know that, but
I
Explain
can't
Clay.
help it.
Explain
Well,
Clay.
the only I just it was a name I popped into my head that didn't happen to be your name.
That's all right. Well, since then, go ahead.
I was going to say, so from that point forward, Doug Jones, when he has to deal with the Social Security Administration, what's your name, sir?
In other words,
Clay.
he didn't look at. So you were speculating that my father didn't look at the names.
Right. He just dealt them out. Whatever you got.
That might be how it happened. I don't know.
Well, that's how it worked. That's how it worked with Sue. A boy named Sue.
Oh,
that's
sure.
what happened. That's what happened. He got his sister's Social Security card. That's right. You got it.
Damn. Well, we better get the heck out of here. We've wasted enough of the people's time today.
We are just all wired for sound because Doug, when I got him on in the studio today, his smile is getting wider and wider because as he gets closer to the time that he can come back home to Arizona, he's going to be a happy camper. But today, we got to thank all you guys for listening to us. You could have been 100 different places, and you weren't. You were listening to Medicare for the Lazy Man podcast. And don't forget to go to Amazon.com, buy a book, buy several, buy them in whatever form we've got them. And they come in just about every form possible. So definitely get to Amazon and buy a couple because they're worth your time and worth your money. And if you don't need it right now, you can always give it to somebody that will, because as I've said a number of times, Doug only allows me one a year. And I give that away to the next guy that needs it. And of course, they never give it back. It's just, I should have a lending library out in front of my house here because I never get anything back. I don't know what the deal is. But up until that point, I'm just going to keep giving them out because I've got people that I know could use them. And they've always said, hey, this is a great book. I need more. And then they go buy them. But if you're going to go buy one, or if you already have, leave a review. Doug loves to have the reviews, or send him some email at dbj@mlmmailbag.com. Just somehow reach out to Doug because he's all depressed some days when he doesn't get anything.
But yet I'm going to be smiling because I'm leaving for Arizona just as soon as I can.
You got that right.
Thank you, Randy, for that fantastic wrap up. And thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us today. Bye-bye. Yes,
absolutely. Well, thank you. You have spent about 32 and a half minutes with Doug Jones, the insurance guy from Oklahoma, and the guy now that is recording in his studio sitting on a milking stool, if you know what that is. So anyway, that three-legged ones, you got that right. Well, thank you, and we will see you all again next time.